Hey everyone, it's Madeline, and this is my video for our module this week. So just getting right into it, I first want to talk about some of the articles and different things that I read on the Learning for Justice website. The first article, I wrote it down here. The first article that I read was talking about, creating a natural environment in your classroom that kind of supports these ESL learners or maybe second language learners in your classroom, and just how, as you as a teacher, are the one who is going to be creating that environment for them to feel supported and accommodated within your classroom. And what really stood out to me in some of those articles was how English learners often pick up social language before they do academic language. And I think it said it was even like 5 to 7 years behind for academic language. Like it can take up to 5 to 7 years, like even though they might talk with their buddies or their peers at school socially, it can still be really hard for them to learn academic language in a classroom. So I thought that was really interesting, because you kind of maybe would see kids in your classroom who are able to talk and communicate a little bit, but you just have to be aware that it might even take longer for them to be learning academic language and be ready to kind of be supported on their own with academic tests and things like that in a classroom. And something that also reminded me of one of the things that we learned about in the Learning for Justice resources, it was talking about with the nurturing environment and creating those inclusive schools. It kind of just supports the idea of going kind of beyond just the basics of communication so they can succeed academically too, which I kind of liked reading through those articles and just seeing some of those ideas of how to kind of like bridge that gap between like the nurturing classroom, but also helping them feel supported and like they are growing in learning English as a second language. So I really liked that aspect from the articles. And then from our classroom video, Professor, you mentioned the importance of accommodations in a classroom, and kind of you talked a lot about changing the tasks to fit better for ESL learners, but while also still keeping the required learning goals in place that need to be there for all students in a classroom. So I really liked how you kind of naturally talked about some of the things that you could do, whether that's having them identify pictures or having them do different activities, but still meeting those learning goals, but maybe just in another way. And we kind of as teachers already do that for accommodations for other students. So we can kind of naturally weave that into ESL learners as well, which I really liked. And just kind of, once again, bridging that practical gap of nurturing, but also helping them feel supported and like they're growing in their learning in whatever grade that they're in. And then I also, for the end here, I talked about how when you use some words you might learn in their home language, that student or students in your classrooms might feel kind of more affirmed into the classroom, like they belong there. And you mentioned even just putting little words up on the wall or the door, or labeling the clocks and desks and things like that. And I've seen that in multiple classrooms that I've been in throughout my experience subbing or field experiences in the classroom. I've seen a lot of teachers do that. And then even just trying, and even though you might make mistakes in their home language, but just kind of showing that you're trying too. And I think that just can kind of help those students feel better and take some of the pressure off of that. You might not even know all the words the right way in their home language, and that's okay. But you're both trying and learning a new language. And I think that kind of creates that bridge of being able to try to learn a new language in a classroom. So then for my question for my peers is, how can we as future educators make sure that we don't confuse social fluency with academic proficiency? I thought that was kind of a good question to be talked about. Like, how do we kind of separate? Well, they can talk to their buddies, they can talk to kids socially, but I'm not seeing like a lot of academic proficiency with their talking. So how do we kind of define that? And then kind of also going back to the accommodations things, how do we hold that balance of holding high expectations and making sure they are meeting our standard goals for whatever grade they might be in, but also making them feel included and supported, like they're getting the help they need?